Sorry for late, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the English news from Djibouti TV. Here are the headlines. The Somali president has left Djibouti today after a 24-hour working visit. During this news, we will focus to the collective awareness about the local beach. On international scene, 1 year after the attack, Barcelona mourns his death. That were our top stories, and now let's get to the details. Somali President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo left Djibouti this afternoon after a 24-hour working visit. He was greeted by the Prime Minister Mohamed Abdelkader Kamil before leaving for Turkey. During his stay in Djibouti, Somali President Farmajo had talks with the President of Djibouti Ismail Omar Guelleh yesterday in the presence of Djiboutian and Somalian officials. The state of relationship and cooperation between the two countries and the two people, as well as the ways and means of promoting and developing them, were mainly mentioned during the presidential meeting yesterday. Before taking the plane, the Somali president has had a brief interview with the first Prime Minister, Mr. Abdelkader Kamil Mohammed, in the lounge of honor of the airport of Djibouti in the presence of Somali officials and the member of the government of Djibouti, including the Minister of Investment, Mr. Ali Gila Abubakar, as well as the Interior Minister Hassan Omar, and the Minister of Culture and Property and Waqf, Mr. Momin Hassan Barre, in the presence of the country's senior civilization military officials. Before leaving, the Somali president were greeted by the Prime Minister and the Ambassador of Djibouti in Somalia. Yesterday, the Minister of Health received Professor Eric from Grenoble Hospital, who conducted a neurosurgical mission at Beltier Hospital. The interview took place in the ministerial cabinet with Dr. Dianka, head of the Department of Neurosurgery at Beltier Hospital, and senior officials with the Ministry of Health. Professor Eric just successfully completed a neurosurgical mission at the block of specialized operation at Beltier Hospital, where a dozen children selected by Dr. Dianka and his team benefit from his expertise. The Minister of Health immediately thanked the professor for this beautiful example of exchange and experience and for availability in favor of Djiboutian children. The Grenoble CHU teacher, for his part, appreciated the hospitality during his stay in Djibouti, assuring the ministry of his will to return periodically in order to perpetuate this punctual intervention. The race discussion focused on the way and means of consulting this medical corporation through a training program to take up this fruitful collaboration towards other surgical specialists. At the end of this interview with the Minister of Health, the two neurosurgeons affirmed the common desire to continue their collaboration through futures and periodic missions. The Ambassador of United States of America, Mr. Larry Andre, presented today his credentials to the Executive Secretary of Intergovernmental Authorities for Development, IGAD, Mr. Mahyoum Maalim, the Secretary of the Regional Organizations in Djibouti. Ambassador Larry Andre has been Ambassador of the United States to Djibouti since January 2018 and now accredited to IGAD. The U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pomo has appointed Ambassador Larry Andre as the first U.S. diplomatic representative to the IGAD Secretariat to maintain the strong partnership between the two United States and the IGAD Secretariat, as well as to facilitate the cooperation and the strengthening relationship. Ambassador Larry is a career diplomat who has forged relations between the United States and African countries since 1980s. The beach of the Siesta remained empty all week, stormed by human tide. Each with his means arrived at the Siesta abroad bus and in group or individually. The Siesta, which remains the busiest beach, remains the beach close to the beach of the New Square Beach, recently reported to the public. Some come from far away, very far to relax, have fun and enjoy the pleasure of the seas. This young man who comes from the Gargar district in the western of Balbala. A fan of swimming on Friday, he got up early in the morning to get ready after saving a little bucket money during the week. He bought his lunch in a restaurant in city center, and then he returned to the siesta, where he finds every weekend his friends. Others come with family, well equipped to spend a whole day by the sea. A festive atmosphere will reign throughout the day at the beach, where everyone engage in every diversity games, while others do businesses by setting up small stand to sell sambusa, donuts, or drinks. But the other side of this picture is that all these beautiful people leave behind garbage of all kinds, those disfiguring this beach where they spend their freshness during this high wave. Only team from Djibouti's road will come to the end of this beach, which has become an open dump, an infernal cycle that repeats itself every weekend. The phenomenon is such that the State Secretariat and the Youth and Sport consider appropriate to take this year theme of protecting the environment of our beach and biodiversity in order to sensitize Djiboutian against these threats affecting our beach and our relaxation areas. More specifically, a garbage collection on the beach was organized by the State Secretariat of Youth and Sports. And now let's move on continental news. The President of Niger said that Europe must end chaos in Libya to stop migrant arrivals. For more details, let's follow this report. If Europe wants to stop the arrival of migrants on its shores from Africa, it must end the chaos in Libya, said Thursday the President of Niger, Mohamed Issoufou. Niger is a transit country for migrants seeking to reach Europe by boat from Libya. Issoufou is an ally of the West in his fight against Islamist insurgents based in Mali and Nigeria. On Wednesday, the President of Niger said, before talks with the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, that their administrations want more European assistance for Niger in the area of security and development. As long as Libya remains in the current chaos, the stability and the security of the Sahel countries are at stake, he told Reuters. Since 2014, Libya has been divided between rival political and military groups based in Tripoli and in the east, southern. And in Pakistan, former cricket champion Imran Khan elected Prime Minister. The former cricket champion Imran Khan was elected Friday Prime Minister of Pakistan in a vote of the National Assembly after the parliamentary election of July 25, largely won by his party. Mr. Khan, 65, was the big favorite of the vote against his only rival in the running, Shehbaz Sharif, leader of the PML, the Pakistani Muslim League, the former ruling party and brother of the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. The former sportsman got 176 votes, according to Assembly President Assad. He needed 172 to be elected. His competitor received 96. The announcement of the victory of Mr. Khan was greeted by innovations in the hemicycle. The Israeli Prime Minister was again heard by a police officer in charge of several investigations of corruption. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was again heard Friday by police officer in charge of several investigations of alleged corruption threatening in his long exercises of power, police said. The police interrogated Netanyahu at his residence in Jerusalem. The police said without further details. According to media report, he had heard in Bezek, a case named after the main Israeli telecommunication group. Netanyahu was questioned a dozen times as a suspect or witness in his case files. In the Bezek case, the police are investigating whether the Netanyahu couple tried to secure favorable coverage from the Walla News site in exchange for government favors that could have brought hundreds of millions of dollars to Bezek. The case, which opened in 2017, wrapped on Friday, February 18, 2018, in all its dangerousness of the Prime Minister. Here we finish the English news. Thank you for watching us. Have a good day.